Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Hey, Dr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
Wonderful, wonderful. So this is the season, and in Billings, Montana, it comes sooner than it comes in other areas of the country, from what I understand, huh?
Except for yesterday, which was 60 degrees.
So you have had snow already, haven't you?
We did. It's actually been pretty mild, but about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, we did get our first, kind of real snow, and I think we got about 2 or 3 inches, but it melted really quick because the ground was still warm.
Yeah. So this is the season, for upper respiratory and respiratory infections, in general. Andrew Michael Barker sent you a question. He said, what do you do for people, who have reoccurring respiratory infections, and are there supplements or a supplement cocktail out there that would be ideal for these individuals?
And that was a great question. Andrew had been listening. He's a regular listener, so he had listened through all the vitamins that we had done earlier this summer, and was wondering, again, is there a cocktail? Apparently, Andrew, like most people, especially this time of year, and in Montana, because the weather fluctuates, it'll be cold, warm, you get these respiratory infections. So my response back to Andrew was, yes, vitamin D is my cocktail. And what I wanted to kind of talk about is, what is the respiratory infection? What does that include? It includes the throat, the sinuses, airways, and lungs. Anything in that respiratory tract. Inflammation does like to build up, and you can get things as serious as influenza, all types of sinus infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, tuberculosis, but the most common is the common cold. And as you know, Carl, there is no cure according to the medical profession for the common cold.
Right, and maybe we don't want a cure for the common cold. The common cold may be the body expunging. It may be the reaction to the body kind of cleansing itself, ridding itself of pathogens and bacteria, and even maybe some mild viruses. So the idea of getting rid of the common cold is probably not a good idea. If you are having recurrences of the cold, then you need to look at things that are going to boost your immune system.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of the key, because even from the medical profession, when you have these respiratory infections, kind of these common ones, they don't do anything. They just tell you to kind of ride it out. They usually don't give you antibiotics until it gets real severe, where you have a real bad, nasal infection or something. But, studies have shown, and I'm talking more than one, that there is a direct link between vitamin D levels and the risk of getting respiratory infections.
Now think about it. Who gets colds in the summertime? Raise your hands. Nobody. Who gets respiratory tract infections in the summertime, except if you're doing something that is going to make you prone to getting one, like if you are kissing a person who has a known sore throat. I mean, people generally in the summertime, by and large, do not get these types of ailments. It's not until the seasons start to change, right? The leaves start dying, the weather gets cool, the sun starts to change its pattern in the sky, the days get shorter, the darkness gets longer, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, our immune system starts to falter and we start getting sick.
And what people think might be a respiratory infection during the summer are usually allergies.
Right.
Allergies trigger all types of things, and usually a nice, over-the-counter antihistamine will normally take care of that if you do have seasonal allergies. But absolutely, and the common denominator is during the winter, for most of us here in the lower 48 or 49 states, including Alaska, the sun disappears. And I think people don't realize, what role the sun plays in the production of vitamin D.
Vitamin D produced by sunlight specifically in the skin, and this is where the magic is. Vitamin D produced in the skin is treated differently than vitamin D that we take orally. While we can take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D and get a high 25 hydroxy status, there's other magic happening in the skin that we lose sight of, and quite frankly, lose the benefits of when the summer disappears. We don't see this in people who live in hotter climates. People who live in climates where it's sunny all the time, we don't see these seasonal colds and flus arising when the weather changes. You just don't see it. So the vitamin D part of it is absolutely a very important part of it. But I say if you have no other choice but to get your vitamin D orally, then do it. But there are other opportunities to get vitamin D. Not to sound like a complete pimp job here. I hope this is okay. But we just reformulate. For those of you who followed Primal D, you know that we kind of took it off the market. It disappeared. The commercial stopped because we had some problems with the delivery mechanism. It was inconsistent. But we brought it to All American Pharmaceutical, and Dr. Jeff and his scientists dug down and they looked at what we were doing and they figured out what we were doing wrong and they corrected it. And we are reintroducing Primal D now. It is a newly formulated, what's the word I'm looking for? Improved, new and improved Primal D. This is the best way to get your vitamin D. If you can't get it through the sun, then definitely deliver it through the skin because different things happen when vitamin D enters through the skin than through the gut and the liver.
And I think, the important thing, Carl, obviously we're excited about the Primal D, but, vitamin D really shouldn't be called a vitamin, in my personal opinion. It's more of a cholesterol hormone.
Right.
But very few foods, actually contain vitamin D. It isn't like most of our other vitamins where, if you eat really healthy and you eat enough of those items, you can keep your levels up. But we're really limited. Only foods such as like cod liver oil or, the fatty fishes like, tuna and salmon, sardines, oysters, mackerel, herring. But let's face it, in the U.S., most of us don't eat as much fish as they do in other parts of the world. So where are we getting our vitamin D from? The only other place is the sun. And like you said, what happens when the sun goes out? And especially, nowadays as everyone is pushing, sun cancer, stay out of the sun. I think people are even deficient during the summertime.
Yes, because they're using sunblocks. As an SPF 5 can reduce vitamin D production in the skin by 70%. And most people using SPF 30, 50, 80 because they're convinced that they don't want to get skin cancer. The other thing to think of is this. From an evolutionary perspective, unless you were an Eskimo who regularly ate polar bear liver, you never got 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 IUs of vitamin D through your gut. You always got it through your skin.
And, I read a study, too, that, talking about cancer, that people with elevated vitamin D levels were at much lower risk of cancer. And this was especially done in a study on women with breast cancer. So, again, I think the whole sun thing was to sell sunblock myself, but that's a whole nother story, huh?
Yeah. The sunblock cancer link is there. There was a study done from individuals of African descent who moved to the United States. They moved from a region of sub-Saharan Africa where skin cancer is virtually undetectable in the population. They came to the United States. They lived a life here. They used sunblocks. They developed skin cancer. It was an epidemiological study, and it makes one wonder that if they lived in sub-Saharan Africa and they were exposed to sun all the time, and skin cancer is virtually non-existent in that population, but they come to the United States and they develop skin cancer, what's really going on? Sunblock plays a role. Also, the pro-inflammatory diet plays a role. So there's a lot going on there. But vitamin D is definitely the cornerstone of the immune-boosting supplements required to avoid recurring respiratory infections. What other ones, Dr. Jeff?
Well, one of the things I want to talk about is, that the production of vitamin D, is really a complex 3-stage process. And the first stage, the body has to take in some food that contains that cholesterol, which is a precursor to D. So we're talking about trying to get it from some of our food sources. Our bodies can't use most of the forms. It has to convert it into this D3. The second is we got to have sun for that conversion. So even with the vitamin Ds that we're taking in from our food sources, without sun, we don't get that conversion to that D3. Then the third step is the final step, is where the kidneys actually convert that vitamin D or the liver into a usable form, which again is D3. So, it's a fairly complex process. And again, you take the sun out of the equation, you have deficiencies in D. And, it's interesting because they're now linking such things as cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disease, influenza, and even DNA repair and metabolic processes to vitamin D levels, being in sufficient amounts.
Well, think about it. Vitamin D is the activity hormone. Think about this for a second. From an evolutionary standpoint, if we were sick, we were in a cave, we were hiding in a house, we were not moving around, we were lacking activity. If we were active, we were usually active outdoors. If we were active outdoors, we were usually getting drenched by sunlight through our clothes or not through our clothes. So vitamin D has been shown to trigger certain genetic switches that tell the body that it's robust and it's healthy. And that's because it's the activity hormone. It's the hormone that you develop by being active. And this is a signal to every cell in the body that things are going good. The world is great. The environment is not hostile.
Yes.
We have to take a break. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about some other vitamins that play into this discussion as far as a cocktail goes. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, we're talking right now about a supplement or vitamin cocktail that will help you if you are one of these people who ends up with recurring respiratory issues and infections throughout the winter months. Stay tuned. You're listening to Science for Humans. We'll be right back. You know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolin.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's GETKARBOLIN.com/CARBGUIDE.
Eat dessert again with the new 100% natural line of high-protein, low-carb Quest protein bars. I love lemon cream pie and strawberry cheesecake, but you can choose from chocolate peanut butter, coconut cashew, or cinnamon roll as well. No matter which one you try, you'll feel like you're eating dessert. But this is no ordinary dessert. With 20 grams of high-quality whey protein isolate, 17 grams of prebiotic fiber, and sweetened with stevia, these bars will make you feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Quest protein bar banner ad to learn more about these clean and delicious protein bars.
For the best in real world, no nonsense, result producing and effective strength training, muscle building, and physical culture information, read Brooks Kubic's books and courses. Don't delay. Sprint on over to brookskubic.com and choose from more than a dozen of the best books and courses on the market. Brooks Kubic's training advice has been building strength, transforming physiques, and changing lives for more than 25 years. If you prefer ebooks, look for Brooks Kubic's best-selling courses at Amazon's Kindle bookstore. Show your support for Physical Culture Radio by going to brookskubic.com right now. Not all so-called deodorants are the same. Only Goodness Inside deodorant is a multi-benefit deodorant that's not only free of aluminum and toxins, but provides the body with nutrients it needs, like magnesium, pure dead sea salts, minerals, and vitamins.
I am a big fan of Only Goodness Inside. the NGDO Healthy Deodorant. I'm a businesswoman. I have to dress up at work. It goes on smooth, it dries quickly, and it never gets on my clothes.
Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Only Goodness Inside banner ad to save 25% off your order today.
If you're a fitness athlete, busy professional, or just looking for a better way to eat hot meals on the run, you need to hop over to hotlogicmini.com right now and check out the coolest portable mini oven on the planet. It's about the size of a lunchbox. It cooks, reheats, and keeps food hot all day without overcooking or drying it out. Plug it in and forget it. There are no buttons or dials or timers to worry about. It's genius. Eat a hot meal anywhere you go. Work, car, hotel room, anywhere. Get over to hotlogicmini.com right now to save 20% off the regular price with coupon code SHR. That's hotlogicmini.com and coupon code SHR. The category killer is back. Mass Pro Synthogen with results literally from workout 1. You'll recover like you're a teenager again. If you've been pouring your heart out in the gym with little to nothing to show for it, you owe it to yourself to see the performance-enhancing and cosmetic effects it can make almost immediately. One user said, I wish I could have tried it sooner. I just ordered 2 more bottles. And another, the overall single best bodybuilding supplement I have personally ever used. Visit CoachRobRegas.com or PredatorNutrition.com to learn more today. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Superhuman Radio will start in just a moment, but Elisa and I wanted to tell you about something we're really excited about.
One of the top requests we get every month is to do a show about eating the superhuman way on a budget. So many people say it's just impossible, but now we have the answer.
We can now tell you to shop at ThriveMarket.com for all your favorite products. Whether it's organic, paleo, raw, vegan, non-GMO, or any other natural products, you'll find them all at ThriveMarket.com.
ThriveMarket.com has over 3,000 healthy products at 25 to 50% off retail. Go to ThriveMarket.com/Superhuman Radio and get 2 months free membership and 15% off your first order.
Take advantage of this outstanding offer. Thanks to ThriveMarket.com, eating like a superhuman has never been cheaper.
Less expensive.
Cheaper.
Carl, it's less expensive.
Okay, less expensive. Get over to ThriveMarket.com/Superhuman Radio today and start saving big time. Never pay retail again.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back to Science for Humans. We're talking with Dr. Jeff Galini, my co-host. We're talking about a cocktail that will benefit those who suffer from respiratory infections as the seasons start to change. What else, Dr. Jeff? We hit vitamin D pretty hard, but there's other things too, right?
Well, you know, there are a few specifics. What I told Andrew, because sometimes it gets really complex to start, finding the exact vitamins and ratio. I told him to stack it with VitaDrive. That way he gets everything else he needs. But to be specific, vitamin A, which is another fat-soluble vitamin, plays an essential role, in stimulating your immune system and fighting infections. So that would be the next part of this so-called cocktail, is to make sure that you have adequate amounts of vitamin A. Now, that one's a little easier to get from your food than D. Then we run into folate, which is one of the B vitamins, stimulates DNA production and cell reproduction. Deficiencies, again, have been proven that you'll be more prone to respiratory diseases and infections. And then, my favorite vitamin C of all time is vitamin C.
Right.
Again, multiple studies out there, showing that, inadequate amounts of vitamin C, again, respiratory infections. And then I round that off with a little bit of vitamin E. Again, Tufts University in Boston has released several studies, again, showing that, if you don't take vitamin E or your vitamin E levels are low, you can be at risk of respiratory infection.
Now, vitamin A and vitamin E for a second. I just want to dwell on these for a second. So don't think you're getting a lot of vitamin A if you're using a supplement or using products that claim to have beta-carotene as their form of vitamin A, because this is not active vitamin A, and a large portion of the population cannot convert it to vitamin A. The reality is that you need to be taking retinol, retinol palmitate, retinoic acid, whatever you want to get it under the name of, but it's not beta carotene. That's a really important one right there.
That's a good one, and I think sometimes, as the supplement industry is always looking for the next greatest thing no one else has, they never look at whether or not you can actually absorb it. So sometimes we've made some good advancements, finding better absorbable forms, and sometimes, the ones that we started with are the best. The other thing too that, is important if you're going to take your vitamin D from a supplement is you want to make sure that you also include some vitamin K. Very important from that standpoint.
Yes, K2 especially. Also, if you're taking real vitamin A and you're taking vitamin D3, make sure you take it with a fatty meal, because remember, we're a fat-phobic society today. There is some evidence that a lot of people who take vitamin D supplements that don't see a improvement in their 25-hydroxy levels when they get their blood test done, they're not absorbing it in the gut. If you're not taking your vitamin D and vitamin A, because they are fat-soluble vitamins, with a fatty meal, then you are losing the ability to absorb it as it passes into the large intestine and downstream. Remember, fats are treated differently than other things that you're digesting. So you must take it with a fatty meal.
And I just want to say that, I'm one of those people that, I guess, coming from California, I didn't like the cold weather out here, even though I grew up in the Midwest. But I do get those mild respiratory infection, sinus infections. So I've been taking my vitamin D now, and I found that it would only take one dose one day to get rid of it, but it continues to come back. So for a lot of people, it's just kind of chronic. So I'm going to stay on my vitamin D, and I'm using currently until Primal D is out, 25,000 IUs a day is what I'm doing. And I'm also stacking that with my VitaDrive. Again, I'm getting my E's and my A's and my folate in there, but I also want to make sure I'm not deficient, in my other B vitamins. But when the Primal D comes out, that's really exciting, as Carl said, because, taking it in through the skin, that is where all the magic happens.
That's what nature wants you to do. So that's a good question. So I will learn along with the audience. When will vitamin D be available, do you think?
Oh,
Primal D. Yeah, put you on the spot.
I think when I looked at production, we are in there. We're making it. So I would imagine by the first of the year, we will have it available again. So again, if you're tired, you get these respiratory infections, you're feeling blue, you're depressed, your bones ache, you got gut trouble. I mean, you need some vitamin D.
Yeah, absolutely. Vitamin D is an amazing supplement. That everybody should be taking, and Primal D will be the best vitamin D supplement in the world. Now that we have perfected it, now that the formula, and by the way, it's going to be sold in smaller amounts, because when I first introduced it, it was an entire year's supply, but it's going to actually be sold in smaller amounts. A bottle will probably last most people anywhere from 60 to 90 days, so it'll be less expensive as well.
So I recommend anybody, again, in the lower states, that don't have a lot of sunshine, like Montana through the winter, you do need to get on some Primal D and some vitamin D, and along with these other vitamins. Even if you don't have respiratory infection, you'll find that if you're one of those people that do get those winter colds, you will recover a lot faster being on these than not being on them.
Anything that improves the immune system. You know how vitamin A improves the immune system? Vitamin A is responsible for stem cell differentiation. Your immune system is no different than anything else in your body. It has stem cells that replenish the cells that are failing and going out. Your immune system cells have telomeres. We talk about telomerase and how it improves longevity. Well, guess what AIDS is? Acquired immune deficiency syndrome is when the telomeres of the DNA diminish so rapidly that the immune system runs out of new cells. So basically the immune system disappears. This is what it is. Well, guess what vitamin A does? Vitamin A is responsible for cellular differentiation of stem cells. So that means that stem cells that want to become immune cells will be able to. They give in third world countries, they give a single dose, 100,000 IUs of vitamin A, real vitamin A, to children to protect them against getting the measles. I mean, that's impressive, isn't it?
That is, I think again, it shows us how important these vitamins are. If we all would take it a little more seriously and work on, preventing and boosting our immune systems, through supplements and diet, we're going to be a lot better off in the long run.
So, Dr. Jeff, next time you and I talk, it'll be face-to-face because we have a live remote coming from Billings, Montana this Friday. Elisa will be in the studio with Elliot Turton. I will be in the studio in Billings with Dr. Jeff. We have an amazing Casual Friday already planned.